The worst home in the best street. It's the property buyer's holy grail. But if you're lucky enough to score yourself such a home, bursting with potential, what exactly should you do with it? Renovate or detonate and start all over again? The wrong decision can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, to help you make the right choice, we're joined today by two people who know the right questions to ask. We've got Jeff Patchell, the publisher of www.build.com.au, joining us from Melbourne. And here in the studio, we have John Castellano from Elderton Homes joining us as well. It's great to see you both. John, if we could start with you. When you're looking at knocking down and building a brand new home, what are the main things that you should be thinking about?
I think the biggest thing to take into account, and the natural thing, is to take into account your budget, how much you're looking to spend. Then you're also looking at the site itself. So, I mean, depending on the area, depending on the home, if the home's heritage listed, you're obviously limited to doing certain things. You can't knock it down. But the first thing that comes into everybody's mind is the money side of things.
It's so hard to guess what it's going to cost to renovate versus seems like the easy option to go, we'll just push it over, we'll buy a project home.
Yep.
We've got a bottom line, all the decisions are made, but it's very expensive.
It is. I mean, people do the cost equation of both. You'll look at, well, it's best to look at, if you're going to renovate, what you want to do and the scope of it, because more often than not, it can be equivalent to actually knock down and start again.
Jeff, what do you say that people should consider when they're thinking about whether this whole question of whether to renovate or knock it down and start over?
Yeah, Bridie, we get quite a lot of interaction with our on our website on this question, and I think there's a number of factors that people need to take into account. I've actually noted some of the more interesting ones, I think. First and foremost, I think people need to be prepared to pay for expert advice. Too often, decisions or first thoughts come up over a dinner party on a Saturday night, and then by the next weekend, everyone's mind's running what they can do. When reality checks, comes around, you really need professional advice, and a little, $10,000 or $20,000 spent up front on something that might cost you $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000, whatever, over the next 12 months, is a small price to pay for doing the right thing in the first place.
Jeff,
just some of the other points that we talk to people about. Neighbours and neighbourhoods are very important. If you're on the verge of deciding between keeping and adding on or renovating, that's a pretty important decision, particularly if you're in a period home area. Not so much if it's a post-war triple-fronted brick veneer that can probably get knocked down because it hasn't got a lot of character and it's difficult to work with. Some of the other things people seem to forget about is a lot we find from discussions with people, a lot of time they just run out of money towards the end, and the first couple of years in living in their renovation can be thwarted a bit. They haven't got the driveway in or the money for the drapes and things. So if you borrow $200,000, make sure you can borrow another 10 or 20% just to finish off things, because prices inevitably blow out, and people also, once they start the process of building or renovating, they too often want to change things on the way through.
Yes, Jeff,
and those variations are really where you can get caught out badly.
If I can just jump in there for a minute, the unknown thing there, Jeff.
The other thing is to consider is just where are you going to live during the renovation, and allow for that in your budget. You might think about living with relatives to start with, but after 6 months that may wear out. So you've got costs of shifting and maintaining your normal working life and being somewhere close by where the kids can get to school as well.
John, can I ask you then, the advantages and disadvantages then of knocking down and building? What are the disadvantages, say, if we could start with that?
Look, I mean, the Disadvantages to knocking down. You're literally knocking down the home that you've more than likely lived in for years. Your kids may have grown up in the home, so there's a lot of memories there. So you really have to get over that side of things first before you make the decision to knock down and start again.
The emotional cost is more than just losing the house as well. A renovation can take months and months and months of living in really a dust bowl of hell. It is. I mean, your relationship is, if you have a relationship living in the house,
Yep.
it really puts the screws on it.
Yep.
And people, I don't think, really always understand that, having seen The Block or Grand Designs or...
Well, I think that particularly, as you say, when you see these TV shows, there's some romance attached to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in reality, it's very different.
Yeah, it's not sitting by the candle.
Exactly right.
So ideally you would add in a cost if you're renovating, saying, right, well, we're going to have to move out.
That's allow
Or we're
cost
gonna have to go to Hamilton Island
relocate
for a week.
or to go to Hamilton Island for 6 months.
Yeah. So looking then at the advantages, obviously you get to pick. There's a picture. You can say, I want that one, and
walk through
this
it.
and this and
Yep.
this to it. Yeah.
Yep. The big advantage would be that you're getting something new. You're getting something that fits today's lifestyles as well. I mean, you can knock down, you can start again, and you're getting your alfresco areas, your kitchens that you're seeing on TVs, like you're seeing your MasterChefs and the like on
Yeah.
TV.
And you get all that sort of inbuilt technology. You see buses, bits and pieces. If you renovate a home, you're still stuck with the plumbing that was put in 50 years
You are,
ago.
and you really have to integrate that new into the old, and that's often where the cost actually comes into account.
Jeff, if we could just ask you then, I mean, what advantages are there to renovating? I know you were hearing some of the things before about the things you need to keep in mind, but what advantages are there to renovating an existing home?
Well, you can often, if it's done right, keep a lot of character of the original home, which to a lot of people that's very important. You may only need to invest half the amount of money in a renovation compared to a complete knockdown. But John's correct, as he talked about, if you've got the clean palette to start with of a clean block of land, you can build a lot quicker, and invariably that's leads to being cheaper. Renovating, there's lots of hidden dangers. You don't know until you start lifting floorboards and taking planks off the outside and things to know just what hidden dangers there might be there.
You were speaking before, Jeff, of getting professional quotes for these concepts that you might come up with for renovation. Do you think that that's often bypassed because people have been tricked into thinking they're smarter than the average bear? Or is it just a matter of trying to save money when they really should be spending it?
Well, it's like anything. It's like just getting, if you're talking to people about your super fund, you pay to get the right advice. It's a little bit of money up front, but too often people think they can just float along with the idea of, we'll never run out of money on the renovation. Well, truth be known, it happens a lot quicker.
Of course it does. The contingency's gone before you can count to 10.
Yeah.
John,
and on a renovation, if you may start to find you've got problems with termites, and the whole house needs rewiring because you start to play around with the new part versus the old. So there's a lot of incompatibility that needs to be thought about and integrated, as John said earlier.
Yeah. John, okay, then looking at, a new build then, I mean, can you put a project home anywhere, and what do you do if you've got a small-sized block?
You're seeing across the board that, block sizes, even in new areas, are decreasing.
Yeah.
So the industry has had to conform to that. So you will see, you'd actually be surprised now, people are surprised when they actually go and have a look at a new home, the amenity that it offers, even though it is on a much smaller block of land.
Yeah.
Can you look at an existing or picture or actual walk through a project home and then say, I like it, but I only want 2 bedrooms, not 3, or 3 bedrooms, not 5? How many changes can you make?
It will vary on the builder. It will depend on the builder. But changes to floor plans are not uncommon. In fact,
that's major structural change.
Absolutely, but it's I guess one of the advantages of starting again is that you can tailor it to not only to how lifestyles are today, to your own lifestyle as well.
Jeff, if I could ask you then, I guess You were mentioning this before, touching on this before, but okay, Renovate versus Detonate, which time frame would you expect would be longer?
I think if you've got the, John says, if you've got the clean block of land and you're generally dealing with a larger company, a lot of people doing renovation work are great builders, and you get a great relationship going with them, but they don't always have the contacts that a larger builder doing a new build will have. And if the plasterer gets held up or the plumber can't turn up, they may not have another fallback position, so your timeline blows out. And what started off as being a 6-month project, we talk to people every week. 9, 12 months down the track, they're still not getting any joy, just because of weather interruptions and a whole lot of things like that. So, the larger or medium-sized builder who's doing 10 or 20 homes a year has got a bigger crew to select from of subcontractors.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Jeff Patchell there from build.com.au, and also John Castellano from Elderton Homes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Fascinating area, isn't it? All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, though, we're going to be heading to Adelaide to preview our next live auction for you in Norwood.